And then I had to watch the podcast because I got something I got to throw at you. Because if you're gonna rank this person high, I'm really going at your neck about something.
Welcome to another episode of the Always Sunday Football Podcast. John, you got the wrong background on. I just noticed it.
Oh,
it's the other one.
All right, I got you.
How you doing today? While you're fixing it, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Anthony, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Oh, so you're winning, I guess. You're beating John.
I don't know. I don't know how to even do that.
Well, he's good and you're great. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. This is a ranking show, and you rank better than he does in how you're doing.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty obvious to me. Pretty straightforward. So today we're going to be following up on our quarterbacks and tight ends podcast with the running back rankings. And John says that we're only going to agree on one thing in this entire potential hour-long show. We're going to rank 24 running backs, are each of our top 24, and only agree once. This is mathematically impressive if it actually happens. So, hey, John, I'm going to let you go first. Well, let's put it this way. I didn't hear you. What? Oh, you're still working on the background.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. In that case, we'll go to Anthony first. Anthony, why don't you start it off? Who's your number one ranked running back for the upcoming 2023 season?
Christian
McCaffrey. See, I agree with you. Christian McCaffrey is also my number one ranked running back going into the season. Don, is yours the same? Do you know?
Yes, it is Christian McCaffrey, without a doubt.
Whoa. So we have one agreement right off the bat. Right out of the box. We've all agreed. So that, to me, it doesn't look good for your strategy, John. It doesn't look good for your prediction, I should say. Does not look good. Hey, Anthony, why did you rank McCaffrey first?
He ranked second last year, coming in on switching teams and just didn't miss a beat. This guy's a freak of nature, amazing running back, and you can't go wrong with him. You can't worry about the injury. He proved everybody wrong last year that was thinking about it the year. He's going to be just fine on a very good team, and they're going to now plan again to work around him for sure, especially with that quarterback question mark. Hey.
Don't you besmirch my buddy Brock Purdy's good name that way. John, you're looking good with your background. How you feel about McCaffrey?
Yeah, I think McCaffrey is a full season in Shanahan's offense with whoever quarterback it is. He's just a safety net, man. And because of the league that we play in, which is PPR, he just has so much value as a running back, as a pass back. In real life football, he's a great blocker. He's just a perfect guy in a Shanahan system that you want. And he's the clear cut, if healthy, clear cut number one running back, RB1.
I agree that 49er running offense is awesome. Just awesome. And he's great in it. Number 2, John. Hot take. Who's your number 2 running back?
I'm going to go with Austin Eckler as number 2. And here's my reason why. I'm going to go with new offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore has never had a talent like Austin Eckler. Obviously, he had Zeke, but Austin Eckler, I feel like, brings another element to the team. Number 1 is they're definitely going to have more of a well-balanced offense. So Austin Eckler is definitely going to have a little bit more rushing attempts, which I think is going to value him. Obviously, it may decrease some of his receiving value, but with that wide receiver corps with Keenan Allen and Mike Evans constantly being injured, they're injury prone. Austin Eckler is clear-cut. Probably the number 1 option. It's easy. Number 2, Austin Eckler.
Anthony, where do you have Eckler on your rankings?
See, this was really, really tough for me because I have a little love. I love there, and honestly, it's between this, the 2-3 for me, back and forth. But because I just think that the Chargers are going to just be a better team next year. Eckler, he rushed 204 times. He only had 915 rushing yards. He was the only running back in the top 16 besides Joe Mixon, who was ranked in the back half, to have under 1,000 rushing yards. He just, because of all those catches and calls. So I just think that if he catches less, he's going to rush more. He's still going to produce. So like he finished third last year. I just think that they're going to be better. So he was the push for my 2. I think you might be a little shocked on my 3. That's why. So I keep Eckler, my boy, at 2.
Okay. I have Eckler at number 3. I had somebody else in the number 2 slot, and that's because based off of this person's role on his team, I just feel like there's he can run, he can catch, to the same degree as, just about anybody, maybe not Christian McCaffrey, but who can. But Saquon Barkley is his entire offense. The whole entire Giants offense rests on Saquon Barkley's shoulders, and we talked about projecting health for the season. And so for that reason, I just put Barkley just a slight bit higher than Austin Eckler. So Saquon's my number 2 running back.
I'll take that.
Okay. So now where do you guys have? Is Saquon close for you, or is he still farther down in your ranks?
He's a couple back.
Okay, so who's
I'm
your
going to
number?
put Saquon at number 3 for me.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
And I'm going to say this. Obviously, Saquon Barkley, in my opinion, is probably the most talented running back in the league when healthy. He is the Giants' offense, and that is the reason why I think that Anthony's ranking with Darren Waller should be a little bit more down, because I think that Saquon Barkley is going to be the one to get more of the volume than Darren Waller. I feel like Darren Waller needs to be more of the blocker, setting up schemes to get Saquon open and to open up that offense. If they want to be successful, they got to get Saquon going. When Saquon was going, they were winning games. So I'm going to go with number 3, Saquon Barkley.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't argue. I mean, I don't know. I feel like he rushed. He was a lot of their offense last year. And I don't think the goal is to use your running back for everything. So that's why I kind of feel,
I see. That's where I think you're wrong. I think they're going to use him because they didn't offer him a contract. He's playing on the franchise tag, right? Which means that they're just going to probably, if he even plays without getting a new contract, going to run him into the ground and use him up and move on. That's how running back is. That's just how it is. Anthony, who's your number 3?
Josh Jacobs.
Okay, that's fair. That's
I
fair.
like that one.
So you think he's going to follow up his season from last year pretty
well?
well?
No, it's not because he had a crazy season. Like, he had a season. Can he? Sure. And that
I'm not saying he's going to repeat it, but just at least follow it up.
No, I think he has to, in a sense. I think the QB is a huge question mark there, and you had this guy that put in work and can put in work. So just continue to utilize him, and at least if you can't figure out the QB, you could work around Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams. We'll figure it out. But I think he's just going to be like what you think Saquon Barkley is going to be.
Okay. Yeah. See, to me, the team and the offense around Barkley is better. Like, I don't trust whoever the quarterback for the Vegas Raiders is going to be. So I just think that offense is not going to be as good as the Giants, and that team is not going to be as good as the Giants. Like, the Giants should be competing for a playoff spot this year. I don't expect the Raiders to do that. So I think just Saquon's going to be on a better offense. That's really where I gave him the edge, just straight up. And also because, Jacobs, it would be hard for him to repeat, but he's just a few pieces. He's a few spaces down from there for me. It's not that far off. So it's a fair pick for number 3. Who's your number 4, Anthony?
Barkley.
Okay, so Barkley slips in.
It's not much off.
What about you, John? Who's your number 4?
I'm gonna go with Bijan Robinson, the rookie. I'll tell you a couple of things. Number 1, this guy is extremely, extremely talented, can run the football, explosive, can catch the ball. And Arthur Smith offense is literally run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Don't throw it to Kyle Pitts. Don't throw it to Drake London. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. So who's going to get all that volume? His name is Bijan Robinson. And if there's going to be a guy that absolutely breaks rookie records, we might be talking about Bijan Robinson in the top 2 this year in terms of fantasy points. So I'm ranking him very modest at number 4 because I don't like to rank a rookie that high that they're going to blow it out of the water. But Bijan Robinson is ranked my number 4 just based on the Arthur Smith in his offense and just the talent of this guy.
I have him at number 4 as well. You pretty much nailed it, John. He's going to get a ton of work. Anthony, where's Bijan on your list?
He's my number 6.
Wow, number 6.
Wow.
So I need to know who your number 5 is. Who got in between
Nick Chubb,
Barkley and Bijan? Nick Chubb. Ooh, okay, talk about it.
Man, but he's gonna be owning that backfield, man. He's been producing. He can produce. He's gonna run for another 1,000 yards. He's gonna be catching those balls. That's what your mom catches, those balls. No, I just what's it? I mean, I understand the Bijan thing, and I just kept pushing him a little before every person that came up to my next. Like, all right, it was now. I'm not going to put Bijan before the first 4 that we all pretty much, except Jacobs. I don't know where you guys had him, but so then I just kept having that conversation with this, and then right after it was after Chubb. Like once Chubb came up, I was like, you know what? Like I'm not going to say this rookie's going to come in and have a better year than Chubb's going to have this year. So then he went after Chubb.
To answer your question, Anthony, I put Jacobs at 5. So Jacobs came in right after Bijan for me. Just to sort of like piggyback off that. John, who's your number 5 player?
Yeah, that's going to be follow up with Josh Jacobs. Josh
Okay.
Jacobs, easy number 5 for me. I think Anthony hit it right in the head. That it's him and Devontae for that offense, and Josh Jacobs keeps the chains moving. He's a big part of that offense, and especially Josh McDaniels' offense, where they rely a lot on short passes and being in New England all that time. For him to rely on Josh Jacobs, that's something special. And I think Josh Jacobs is going to continue being a pillar for that offense. So Josh Jacobs is my number 5.
He ran for 1,653 yards.
Amazing.
And that led the league.
Yeah. 12
Amazing.
touchdowns.
John, where did you have Nick Chubb on your list?
He's on my number 6 list. Nick Chubb is an absolute beast. And I'm going to be honest with you, if Deshaun Watson is going to play the way he played at the end of last year, we're going to need a lot of Nick Chubb for them to keep in games and to keep the pace, keep the chains moving. Nick Chubb has been a stud in this league for quite some time, shaking off, Kareem.
I'll say it for you, John. He's no slouch.
Yeah, he ain't no slouch.
Nick Chubb is no slouch.
Yeah, he's an absolute beast. One of the better running backs in the league. I think he's going to get a ton of work. If Deshaun Watson's going to be struggling this year, they're going to be relying a lot on Nick Chubb. So I have number 6, Nick Chubb for me.
So I guess my first hot take of the day is that I have Nick Chubb down at number 9. Definitely a lot lower than you guys at number 9. My number 6 running back is Jonathan Taylor. Okay.
Wow.
From the Indianapolis Colts. People forget Jonathan Taylor, very awesome, very young, and that offense could be interesting with the new coaching staff that came over from Philadelphia. So I'm taking Jonathan Taylor as my number, if I can type it in here, 6. Running back.
Listen, last year he was number 1 overall. So
Jonathan Taylor?
Oh no, the year before. Sorry, the year before.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a really poopy-doopy season last year.
Yeah, last year he was not that good. He struggled with injury, and the offense was terrible.
When he was drafted as number 1 overall.
Oh well, that's true. Yeah. And so Anthony, who's your number 7?
Derrick Henry.
Okay. All right.
You can't not have that guy in there. He still last year rushes for 350 times. The guy's just he's up there with the elites every year, and he doesn't catch the ball. So the guy's a beast. You can't finished.
You don't happen to have his age in front of you, do you?
No, I could get it while you guys talk about your 7.
Who's your 7, John?
My number 7 is Jonathan Taylor. I honestly think that there's a big bounce back year for Jonathan Taylor and the Indianapolis Colts. I think that the offensive mind that's going to be there is going to find ways to get Jonathan Taylor going. He's just way too talented as a running back for them not to utilize him. And, they're going to it's going to take some time to develop that offense, especially with, a new quarterback being there, developing. They're going to rely very heavily early in the season with Jonathan Taylor. So he's going to be a great draft pick for anybody that picks him up. I have him number 7 on my list.
He's 29.
Nice. He's 29. Okay, so he's getting up there. He's going to turn 30 this year, most likely, like during the season or something like that. He's got a lot of mileage on him, but he's still a beast. So I mean, I can't really argue with him. I have him a little bit lower, but we'll see in a minute. My number 7 is Ramondre Stevenson. I think he's another player who kind of flew under the radar last year as a great running back, and also, no Damian Harris anymore. Ramondre Stevenson is going to take over the main focus of that Patriots offense. They don't have any real good receivers. It's pretty much going to be just him. And then if they do pick up DeAndre Hopkins, I just feel better about this ranking of Stevenson, because that gives another legitimate weapon that the defenses have to queue on, which means that Stevenson will be facing fewer like stack boxes and stuff. I think Ramondre can just take another step forward as a true RB1 this year. John, who do you got number 8?
Number 8 is Derrick Henry. I think this is might be Derrick Henry's maybe last year. He's got a lot of mileage on his legs, man. I mean, Derrick Henry has been and the only reason why I would say that Derrick Henry has the footing that he has and the production that he has is he sat behind a lot of people forget that he sat behind DeMarco Murray. Do you remember that? Holy cow.
Yeah.
And it saved Derrick Henry some years to kind of figure out his group, and he's been an absolute monster for years. And I think now the mileage is starting to catch up with him. I do think that the offensive line is good enough for him to keep him in the top 10, but injury concerns. That's why he dropped down on my list. His age, the workload, and injuries happen. So I have Derrick Henry as my number 8.
I have him as my number 10, right behind Nick Chubb. And it's really just what you just mentioned right there, John, is injury concerns, age concerns. And then I just don't know how good that offense is going to be. I mean, it's like every year they seem to be somehow the Titans are competitive. And it's like, I don't know how this team is good, but they just are. But they win games like, 14-13 and stuff. So, yeah, Henry to me, just on the edge of my top 10. Anthony, who's your number 8?
I don't like to use names from teams, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna go with Tony Pollard.
Okay, that's my number 8 as well. Talk about it.
Tony Pollard. Zeke's now not in the picture. They don't got to worry about trying to have to feed him. He could take full control, be a full all down back, and he has he could potentially finish in the top 5. I don't want to say it, and then I didn't want to even put it on a list or wishful thinking.
Well, yeah, they said they want to be a little more balanced, which means run the ball more this year. And then, as you mentioned, he's the only real legitimate threat to run the ball on the roster. So if he stays healthy, he could completely explode. John, where's Pollard on your list?
Pollard's number 10 on my list.
Okay, so who's number 9?
Number 9 is Ramondre Stevenson. I'm very high on him this year. Very, very, very high on him. He's a guy that I think is going to fly under the radar. I'm going to be honest with you. I even think the receivers that they have enough is to open up a little bit of that offense. I like, honestly, Belichick's going to find a way to get this kid going. He's extremely talented. He again, like you mentioned before, it flew under the radar. He's not going to have, doesn't have a lot of competition behind the backfield anymore. Ramondre Stevenson is easily my number 9. And I'm going to go with number 10 for Tony Pollard. I'm going to make a note about Tony Pollard. He's been explosive, man. People did not want to admit this, but Tony Pollard just looked like the better running back. Oh
yeah, I mean the fantasy community kind of did. It was just that like the popular people were like, I know the name Zeke.
Yeah, and
remember that commercial where he ate the cereal?
He broke 1,000 yards on 193 touches.
Yeah, I mean, Tony Pollard is the real deal, man. So I put Ramondre at number 9, Tony Pollard at number 10. And the reason why
go ahead.
And the reason why I put Tony Pollard at number 10 is that Dallas offense is definitely going to be a little bit more reserve. Kellen Moore is no longer there. They're not going to be thrown all over the place, so they're going to have a little bit more of a balanced offense.
But another big question is, he's the first guy on our lists that we've seen who is like, can he stay healthy and be legitimate for a full season? Every other guy we've mentioned so far has shown that they can do it. This is the first guy who, like, he's been good in small doses, but can he be the number one guy? Only him be the true RB1 all year long. We're about to find out with him. Anthony, who's your number 9?
Number 9's Jonathan Taylor, and my number 10 is Ramondre Stevenson.
Oh, okay. So in this first top 10, where John said that we weren't going to really agree at all, we basically had a lot of overlap, like mostly overlap, you know?
Basically the same players juggled around.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them where we were both like right on. One, like 2 out of the 3 of us had it exactly the same. So I wonder if things will get a little bit crazier. Now let's finish out 11 and 12 and see if things get a little goofy. John, who's your number 11 guy? I bet you it's somebody wacky that I never thought of.
Oh, come on now. I'm going to go with Jets, Jets. Welcome back, Breece Hall.
Ooh.
This offense is going to be this is who I'm really excited about. Breece Hall, a legitimate running back. The O-line is going to be a little well, I'm going to put it this way. I'm not very confident in the O-line, but it doesn't matter with Breece Hall because Breece Hall was running all over the place before he got injured. It didn't matter. And he was a big reason why of the Jets' success early of last year. I'm expecting a healthy Breece Hall. He's going to be a big benefit to this offense. I'm going number 11, Breece Hall.
I had Breece at 12, and because he's not going to – oh, yeah, okay, because he's not going to be fully healthy to start the season. So he's going to start off slow and then second half guy. Right, exactly. So I think that Breece is bumped down just one notch for me. Anthony, who'd you have at your 11?
In my opinion, if he was full healthy, he would have probably had to slip in to the top 10. He probably would have had to be in the top 10.
Oh,
for me.
Breece? Yeah, agreed.
So I slid him down just because I know he's not going to have that full point, and I think this guy's going to have a great year and outpace him because of the slow start, and that's Travis Etienne.
Interesting. Go ahead and talk about it.
Talk about it. The whole last year they didn't know 3 weeks in a row Travis Etienne show. Then they're like, no, let's try some other guys and let's fuck it. I think they're coming back this year stronger. They're going to make to the playoffs in my opinion. He's going to have a great year. He's going to have a bunch of catches too. He's going to be like my other little Eckler. Watch out for Etienne on my squad.
I have him a little bit down on my list. My number 11 is Najee Harris. I think that he's just another guy who's going to be a complete cowbell. He's going to be like the entire offense for the Steelers. He's going to get a lot of carries, a lot of receptions. He's just going to be on the field a ton. He's a volume play for me, so that's why he bumped ahead of Breece. Breece is going to get that slow start. John, who's your 12?
I'm going to go with Travis Etienne. Again, like you mentioned, I think the team is just going to be well balanced. The reason why he went down a little bit more was the Jaguars have other options. They added Calvin Ridley. They have Christian Kirk, a good offensive line. They're going to be a really well-balanced offense. Travis Etienne is definitely right outside currently right now. I'm saying currently right now because the list is fluid.
Listen to this guy. Okay, cool. Yeah, see, I had ATN at 14. Now, I owned him last year, and he was a little bit of a frustrating play because he's in a situation where Doug Peterson is going to use multiple backs. And I don't think that they view him as a pass-catching back based off of what I watched last year and what I read this offseason is that I don't see it in response to what Anthony had mentioned. I actually don't see him assuming that he didn't really have that pass catching role last year. And there was a lot of times when they took him off the field in scoring situations, he wasn't their dedicated touchdown back, short yardage guy. Like there was a lot of reasons for being frustrated with his usage, and so I had him bumped down at 14, and I put somebody a little bit more surprising at 13. But Anthony, who's your 13?
My 13 might be a little surprising.
All right, well then here we go. We're both in column 2, so anything could happen in column 2.
Alexander Madison.
Interesting. I like it. Go ahead.
Talk about it.
Talk about it. Listen, Dalvin Cook's not there. Anytime Dalvin Cook was ever down, Alexander Madison stepped up and made it as if he was there. He stepped up. He got you. You always handcuffed him, and now he's going to show you a full year of just him. What I don't know what their other option really is, and if he could take it. He could take the Dalvin Cook rule over, and that's a top 10 running back role. So I had to slide him in there at lucky number 13.
John, who's your 13?
I'm gonna go with Aaron Jones.
Ooh,
whoa!
Aaron,
that's a hot take. Talk about
that's a real hot take. All right, I know. Dave right now is absolutely throwing up in his mouth right now, but. The reason why that is because Dave last year watched the Green Bay Packers absolutely not use like a guy that every time he touches the ball, he gets 10 yards up the field. It makes absolutely no sense. But given that, Jordan Love is going to be the quarterback, and he's going to have to rely on a run game. This is not Aaron Rodgers no more. So if LaFleur wants to be successful, Aaron Jones needs the ball. Let's cut to it, all right? None of this bullshit about like Aaron Jones.
That was also true last year. And they didn't do it. That was just as true last year as it is this year. But hopefully you're right that it's just Aaron Rodgers
it just makes sense to me. I'm like, dude, Aaron Jones is an absolute beast. When he carries the ball, he gets positive yardages. Now it's the matter of Matt LaFleur looking at the tape and doing what's right for this offense. If they want to have a successful season, they're going to have to give the ball to Aaron Jones and give him a healthy workload if they want to be successful. That's what I'm banking on. He's my number 13.
I'm trying to see where what on my list Jones ended up at, and it looks like he's 13, 19, number 19 on my list.
Wow.
Anthony, where do you have him?
18.
18? Oh, wow. Okay. So we're not feeling the Jones this year as much as John is. I mean, you make a strong case for it. I'm not going to lie. Like, things you said made sense.
It's another thing. It's a talented player like Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor finished like RB fucking 36 last year.
Right. My 13 is Miles Sanders from the Carolina Panthers. They've been talking a lot about using him as a 3-down back, catching the ball. I think that he's going to get a chance to have a role that he's never had before. Like the Eagles do a committee thing. The Eagles never really loved, especially with the new Sirianni offense. They didn't really love using Miles Sanders as like a workhorse. But Miles Sanders has been getting a lot of talk from Carolina's coaching staff, and I think he's gonna get the chance to have that type of role that we really want in fantasy, which is all 3 downs plus pass catching work plus goal line work. He's going to be their number 1 back. From everything that they're saying.
There's nobody else really there. There's Chuba Hubbard there. I agree. He's actually my number 15.
Oh, really? Let's see. 12, 13, 14, 15. Sanders. Who's your 14?
Najee.
Okay. And what's your take on him?
Najee?
Is it pretty much just volume, just like I was saying? I think that's volume. The best argument for him.
That's the only argument. Is the volume is there for him. He could take it. He finished RB12 last year. He broke 1,000 yards. He's going to break 1,000 yards again this year. And then let's see if that offense rolls together. The young and rookies in their sophomore years, and he's gonna. There's no way he's not breaking 1,000 yards, so he can't not be in the top 15.
John, who's your number 14?
I'm gonna go with Joe Mixon at 14.
Wow. So John is going off of last year's ranks, it looks like, for these players. But I understand it, and I know exactly what you're going to say, so go ahead and say it, because it's not wrong.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with Joe Mixon. One of the better offenses in the league, just a really well-balanced offense. And Joe Mixon he's just simply good, and he's productive. And I'm going to go with absolutely the framework of, what have you done for me lately? He's been productive. Number 2, is that offense going to be possibly top 3 in the NFL? Absolutely. Sign me up. I'm taking Joe Mixon at number 14.
Yeah, lots of scoring opportunities. You can't argue with it. I don't hate it, John. I don't hate it. It's so funny. Sorry?
I said I have him a few back.
Yeah, me too. I had Mixon and Jones at 18 and 19. So like in this, right next to each other, like Don did, but just pushed back a little bit. Anthony, what number is Mixon on your list?
He's 16.
Oh, he's 16. Okay. So let's see. So he would have been next, I think, right? 13, 14, 15.
Yeah,
16.
he would have been my next.
Mixon.
Okay,
so John, who's your 15?
Alexander Madison, number 15 on my list. Hear me out on this one. I think that what they're building in Minnesota, with the run game, Kirk Cousins still being there, Justin Jefferson, they're a pretty well balanced offense, and Dalvin Cook was a big part of that. But when Dalvin Cook was out, I'm going to tell you right now, the best combo to had was Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison when Dalvin Cook was out, because Alexander Madison produced just like Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, now you guys remember? Are you guys old enough to remember LaDainian Tomlinson and Michael Turner?
Yes,
I know LaDainian.
Same thing. But anyway, go ahead, John.
Beautiful. It was beautiful. So I'm going to go with Alexander Madison as being the 15th rank. I think it's going to be a little bit of adjustment. I think the pass. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm more big on the Vikings passing rather than their run game because Dalvin Cook left. But Alexander Madison is no slouch. He's going to have a big game. He could catch the ball. He can run the football. He's relatively young, got fresh legs underneath him, sitting behind Dalvin Cook. So I have him ranked my 15th ranked running back.
I have him at 16. I am just behind you, John, and a little bit behind Anthony. I think that if it was Cook, I would probably have him closer to Anthony or maybe even a little bit above that. But Madison's just not as good as Cook. Like that everything else being equal, and the fact that he's been productive in Cook's stead, but he's simply not as good as Dalvin Cook. And so I just have him bumped down a little bit. And the player I have right in front of him is a guy who I just love the whole offense this year, so I might be a little bit high. And that's my 15th running back, J.K. Dobbins. I like Dobbins.
Contract dispute too.
Going to be contract dispute or contract year?
Well, it's his contract year, and he's trying to get a contract. I was reading.
So I think that now that he was last year, he was coming off the ACL, and he was like, still pretty productive. I think this year, fully healthy in the Todd Monken offense, he's got a chance to be really, really good. So I got Dobbins as my 15, and then I had Madison as my 16. John, who's your 16?
My 16th is going to be Kenneth Walker from the Seattle Seahawks.
Okay. He's coming up in a little bit for me. Talk about it.
Yeah, I honestly, what was a big surprise? Geno Smith last year. Geno Smith just was able to run a well-balanced offense. And that's the reason why I was like, you know what? This Seattle Seahawks team, in terms of fantasy, is flying super under the radar. So I'm going to rank Kenneth Walker appropriately because I feel like this offense could just jumpstart. They got 3 stud wide receivers. They definitely beefed up the offensive line a little bit more. And Kenneth Walker is just getting started. No Rashad Penny. I was high on Rashad Penny for so many years, and I just finally gave up on him last year. I was like, I hope this guy does good, but he's just always injured. And Kenneth Walker is now the new face, the new RB1 in Seattle. So give me Kenneth Walker at 16.
Anthony, who's your 17?
My 17 is, and maybe I have it a little high, but I went Jahmyr Gibbs.
Okay.
Ooh, talk about it.
Gibbs at 21 and Walker at 20, by the way. Go ahead.
Oh, I have it around there. The Lions offense, insane on all fronts. Everywhere you look at it, They coming at it. They got rid of their running backs. They signed David Montgomery, and they got Jahmyr Gibbs, and Jamal Williams killed it last year. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to replace Jamal Williams, in my opinion, and he's just going to step into a role with plenty of volume, and he's gonna take over.
Wow, who's your 17, John?
I'm going Najee Harris. I'm going to be honest with you. I think teams this year are going to want Kenny Pickett to throw the football, and I think that how this team is going to be successful is getting Najee going. And they're going to run into a couple of teams. I was just looking at the schedule for the Steelers, and there's just a rough patch where I'm like, ooh, Najee might have a hard time getting it going. I think that they're going to rely a little bit too much on the run, and that's going to hurt Najee's value. And also, I think touchdown opportunities are going to be hard to come by. I don't think this team's going to be scoring a lot of points. So I bumped down Najee a lot because of touchdowns, but I definitely think he's going to get the yardage. I definitely think that he's an absolute stud. I just think that this team's going to have a hard time scoring points, and that's why I bumped down Najee at 17.
That's fair. That would be I would suppose the counter case, the case against Najee. You know, Anthony and I talked about his ups. John talked about more of his drawbacks, which is pretty fair. My 17th ranked player is Dameon Pierce. You know, he's a pretty good player. I just question, you know, pretty similar to what John said about touchdown opportunities. I don't know if the Texans are going to score a ton of points, a ton of touchdowns this year. But he's a good player, and he produced really, really well last year when given the opportunity. He showed he could be a 3-down back. So I slotted him in at 17. Let's see here. Hold on. 18, John.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Dameon Pierce in this one. Same thing with you. I think that the reason why I had Najee and Dameon Pierce, I was kind of flip-flopping between the two, is like, all right, well, Najee Harris actually has a good coach. Dameon Pierce, I'm not too sure about who his coach is going to be in terms of a head coach. I know what defensive coordinator he could be, but I'm not 100% sure, and I'm not going to rely on a rookie coach. So I'm going to go with Dameon Pierce at 18. It's a little bit low for me. I think he's extremely talented, but I don't know what this team's going to be, so he's a little bit low on my list.
You want me to give Dameon Pierce?
Yeah, I was about to say, did he make your list?
Yeah, he's 21 on my list, just because like the volume is there for him for sure. It's just a matter of, are they going to always be coming from behind and have to quit on the run and go more pass heavy to whoever they got going on up there. But you know he's the talent's there. He had to make my list.
Fair. I mean, yeah, it's true. He's too good to not be in people's top 24, even though like there's a lot of, I don't know about this team, I don't know about this line, I don't know about this kind of thing. Anthony, going back to your, I think 19
is J.K. Dobbins.
Dobbins. See, I guess I'm just higher than you guys on Dobbins, or maybe I'm just more excited about the Ravens offense this year.
Another year more of healthier, and there is no one else in that field. Your only other worry is Lamar taking your rush, but that's just forward yards forward, and gives you another opportunity to run.
More scoring opportunities, you know.
Right.
And
Reds, I mean, they have a lot of weapons. I'm actually really, really interested in seeing Baltimore this year now that they have a couple wide receiver options.
John, where's Dobbins on your list, or did he make it?
Dobbins is my 21st. And the reason why he's lower on my list, I would love to bump up J.K. Dobbins, is because Lamar Jackson is their RB1.
That's true.
Yeah, you know, and that's the reason why he bumps down to my 21st, is because Lamar Jackson just runs the football. And on goal line situations, I would love for J.K. Dobbins to get that workload, but for some reason, it's always Lamar Jackson that brings it in. So in my opinion, that's the reason why I think J.K. Dobbins, if he was on a different team, he would be bumped up a lot more on my list, but he's my 21st.
Who's your 19th?
19th is going to be Jahmyr Gibbs, Detroit. So number one is this. We didn't expect what happened to DeAndre Swift last year, and with Jamal Williams taking a step forward. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is the total package of what they were looking for between Swift and Jamal Williams. I think that they needed a workhorse, especially with that terrible defense that they're going to have. Gibbs is going to have a lot of pass catching opportunities, going to be able to run the football against those teams that are maybe not good offensively. I just think he just has a lot of potential this year. The offense is legit. So I'm going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs at 19.
No, there's high upside, and the way they ran last year, I wanted to. I mean, I think he's had to be in the teens. You know, in my opinion, you have to be scarce with that David Montgomery, right? They signed him, they paid him, they're going to use him. So how much are they going to use him? But he's a talent, like you said, all around.
Yep.
Who is your 20, John?
That's going to be Miles Sanders. And boy, oh boy, I am cheering for this guy, Miles Sanders. Every single year, we draft Miles Sanders, and we're like, man, this guy's going to be the workhorse. This guy's dope. When he gets the ball, he's so good. And guess what? It just never, ever happens. He is finally breaking my top 20 because of Jesus Christ. Please give this guy the ball. He's really.
What does Jesus have to do with it?
What's love got to do with it?
Well, apparently the Eagles didn't think he was that good because
they just have that multiple back scenario.
It's the scheme, yeah. It's their scheme. They just don't commit to one guy. I think this is the argument. It's like, is it talent or is it the scheme? So I guess we're gonna find out, right? John's got him a little bit low.
They got all the opportunity there. They run the ball good, so he's got the opportunity. We'll see.
Yeah.
Who's your 20, Anthony?
Kenneth Walker is my 20.
Ooh, really low on him.
Well, I'm a little low because I forgot the name of the rookie they drafted. That kind of like.
Oh, that's interesting that you say that. I have Walker as my 20 as well, but then it was a situation where I knew that I have Walker at 20 and I have Jahmyr Gibbs at 21. You guys just both mentioned Gibbs recently, and then all the way down at 24. I'll just talk about my 24 right now is David Montgomery, because there's going to be a backfield with two backs that finish in the top 24. Whether it's the Seattle Seahawks with Walker and Charbonnet or Gibbs and Montgomery in Detroit. So I went with Gibbs and Montgomery as opposed to Walker and Charbonnet as my same backfield mates.
Montgomery's my 25.
25. Okay, so he's right off the end of your list. So like that, I know, like it happens every year. It's your
Agreed.
Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon situation or whatever, with two different guys, whether Chubb or Kareem Hunt or whatever. So I dropped David Montgomery in there right at the end of my list. So let's see, we have 23, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 for each of you guys, right? Let's go 22, John.
Yeah, 22 for me is going to be Isaiah Pacheco, your boy from Rutgers. I got to rep my boy. This guy's a Super Bowl champ. And during the playoffs, what I found really interesting is his usage. It was like this guy was breaking forward. This guy did 4 years in Rutgers. Actually, I believe 5 years in Rutgers. And he was a productive back. And I think that he got into the right coaching staff. He needs to learn the NFL system, how to, he's not as talented as the other running backs that came out of that class, but he really broke out. He's on a really good team. If they want to have a more balanced offense and with Patrick Mahomes and do a Super Bowl run and do the things that they do, Isaiah Pacheco is going to be a big part of that. I have him ranked as my 22nd RB.
Anthony, who's your 22?
Did I give you my 21?
Dameon Pierce.
Okay, I did. I'm sorry. My apologies.
Mm-hmm.
My 22 now. This is Jamal Williams.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Okay.
Look what he did in Detroit last year. He's going to go over. I don't know what's going on with Kamara, right? I don't know. So if there's a big Kamara question mark and he's missing a bunch, he's getting the workload.
That's all you got?
There's no who isn't he supposed to miss like half the season?
6 games.
6 games. 6 games, and I think they're going to run the ball and use Kamara more as a passing situation. I think he's going to get all the goal line work. He's got there's no way they brought him over. He had a stellar year last year. We had like he with like 19 touchdowns.
He had a lot of rushing touchdowns.
I don't think you realize who the head coach is over there. His name is Dennis Allen.
He's a dummy. Yeah, big dunce.
Nah, never mind. I am in my number 22 spot.
Let's see. I got Dalvin Cook in my 22 spot because he's going to sign somewhere. If he signs in like Miami, what did you say, 23?
23.
Okay, 23. John, is he on your list?
So I did not include, because the list is fluid, any people that are free agents and are not on teams, because I cannot measure the value of a person if they're not signed.
Well, I had to put them in, bro. Both of them have to be someone. No matter where they're landing in the top.
Like if he ends up in Miami, I definitely think he's even higher than 22 on my list. But we'll see.
Yes, he is absolutely. But I'm gonna go with 23. Whoo, this is gonna be a tough one, and I'm hoping to bounce back here. I'm gonna go with DeAndre Swift.
Ooh, interesting. Go ahead, talk about it.
Good offense, very, very, very good offense. I know they like to use multiple backs, but DeAndre Swift is going to be hands down the better back in that backfield. If they want to have a little bit more of a well-balanced offense, which they were last year. I mean, they were I just think DeAndre Swift is a great compliment to the Eagles. I don't think they're going to utilize him as much, not like in his early Detroit games, but I definitely could see a couple of breakout games, about maybe five games where you have a big DeAndre Swift, and he could definitely give you 12 fantasy points. So I have him as my number 23rd RB.
My 23 is Rachaad White from Tampa Bay.
My 24.
Ooh, 24. Okay, cool. Yeah, well, I mean, they're going to need a running game because they don't have Tom Brady anymore. He's the only guy. He's going to get rushing. He's going to catch some balls. He's not going to catch as many as when Tom Brady was there because, whatever, nobody throws that many to the running back. But he's going to get numbies, and he's my 23. And then I mentioned my 24 is David Montgomery. John, who's your 24?
Cam Akers.
Okay, yeah, he was my 25.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Cam Akers. I think the Rams are an absolute train wreck. I don't know what's going on with that team. They're just and if they're going to get something going, it's got to be on the back of Matthew Stafford if he could stay healthy. And I think they're going to lean a little bit more on Cam Akers to create more of a well-balanced offense, try to get Cooper Kupp, some open looks. But I think this team is kind of figured out. They are definitely hurting at skill positions, and I'm going to go with Cam Akers as my last 24th ranked RB.
I like it.
Okay. Yeah, that's not bad.
That's not bad. That's with your Eagles pick, John. It was. I had to figure out if I wanted to work one of them in, but I just think it's going to be a dual backfield with Rashad Penny. I think Rashad Penny is going to get some work as well and split some of that out. But Swift has the upside for sure to get some fucking workload because they're both brittle.
Okay, so to recap, ready for this? Anthony, Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs, rather. Sorry. Who's Justin Jacobs? I don't know who that is. Saquon Barkley, Nick Chubb, Bijan Robinson, Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, Jonathan Taylor, Ramondre Stevenson, Travis Etienne, Breece Hall, Madison, Najee, Sanders, Mixon, Gibbs, Jones, Dobbins, Walker, Pierce, Williams, Cook, White. Johnny, CMC, Eckler, Saquon, Bijan, Jacobs, Chubb, Taylor, Henry, Stevenson, Pollard, Breece, Etienne, Jones, Mixon, Madison, Walker, Najee, Pierce, Gibbs, Sanders, Dobbins, Pacheco, Swift, Akers. And mine was CMC, Saquon, Eckler, Bijan, Jacobs, Taylor, Stevenson, Pollard, Chubb, Henry, Najee, Breece, Sanders, Etienne, Dobbins, Madison, Pierce, Mixon, Jones, Walker, Gibbs, Cook, White, Montgomery. So who didn't make our lists that we should mention for some reason or another? Who was right off the edge of the paper, 25, 26, 27 guy? I know I mentioned that my, Akers was off the edge for me and Swift was off the edge. Anybody else?
James Conner.
Yeah, I was going to say Conner.
Fair. That's a good one. Where's my other?
A guy that's coming off injury that might break the top 20 is Javonte Williams.
It doesn't sound good. His injury is looking a little questionable. They're seeming like he might not be ready. I think that again, the Charbonnet deserves some mention because like those two running backs could end up cracking the top 24. But everybody else that was on my lists we touched on. Good job, guys.
Well, top 30 I would have definitely questioned it. So this name I'll give is Khalil Herbert.
I wonder about that backfield as well because I've read some things where it's like, okay, Herbert is going to be the main guy to start, but blah, 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 blah. But then there's other people who are like, he might not even win the job to start the season. Like there's a rookie, Roshan Johnson, who might be better than him, or maybe not a rookie or whoever he is, second-year player, whatever. Like that might be a backfield that is kind of jammed up, but also there might not be as many scoring opportunities. As John mentioned with the Ravens and Lamar taking rushing, of course, Fields takes rushing there as well. So, I mean, I guess these are things to consider, but he's certainly like that backfield is a big, huge question mark for me. I don't know how to figure that one out. Chicago. So, all right. Well, that's a good, I think, breakdown of the running backs. Everybody happy with their ranks?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So
Again, it's fluid.
It is, of course, it's fluid. But right now,
we all pretty much, if you put it in a percentage, there's 90% of us have the same names on the top 24. There's that last 10% that are different.
Yeah, it's just a handful on each list that are different, and it's just like they're off by a couple spots here and there. But today, June 19th, this is how we rank the running backs, and things might change before the season. Probably will. Guys are, preseason injuries are going to wipe guys completely off this list, completely, and you never know. So
Dalvin goes to, like you said, the Dolphins. He slips to top 15 for me.
Yeah, that makes it, or if he goes someplace else, that's super impactful. Like for example, if Dalvin Cook goes to Kansas City, then buy Isaiah Pacheco and Dalvin Cook in the top 10. You know what I mean? So it's that type of a situation. So it should be interesting. We got a little more time left in the summer. The next episode will be wide receivers, and I will see you then, where it's always Sunday.